Wendy and Russell. And oh, good. I see that the recording has started. Your note has worked. Very good, Wendy. Thank you. This session is being recorded, and we will get that linked out to the different listservs early next week, probably. It takes a minute for the recording to kind of finalize, but we'll get that out to you. Today's presenters are Wendy Cornelson. She is the Assistant State Librarian for Innovation and Collaboration at Georgia Public Library Service. And Russell Palmer is joining us from Galileo, where he is an Assistant Director for Galileo Support Services. And both of them are well-versed in the ebook world and have lots of great stuff to share with us. And before I forget, I wanted to share with you that once again this summer, Get Georgia Reading is sponsoring free access to Renaissance's Mayan digital library. And I'm going to go ahead and put this link in since these are all being recorded now. It is fairly easy to do. You do have to register for the service. There's the link. And on that page, they have all the information that you need. Gwinnett County was last year's champion reader, coming in at 9,804 books read through the Mayan service. And here, I'm going to put this in too, because sometimes this is just really all you want to know is how to actually register. So there's that link. But that, of course, is on that page that I have linked there. So I hope you will be able to share that with your readers, maybe create a badge or a link of some sort in your Beanstack profiles to get that word out. And I think those are my only sort of welcoming tips. Again, we're so glad that you've joined us this morning, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Wendy and Russell.
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk a little bit more about ebooks. It is one of my favorite topics, of course. So let me get to my slides. And with any luck, as this loads, you will get to the point where you can see my screen and see my
I
slides.
can, Wendy. It looks like it's coming in nice, sharp. It's the presentation mode, not the pre-presentation mode. You're all good.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So I'm Wendy Cornelson, Assistant State Librarian at the Georgia Public Library Service. You know what we do. We are here to help libraries improve the lives of all Georgians. And I got to start an ebook discussion today by talking a little bit about GAD. So Georgia Download Destination is a 50-member library consortia and certainly includes children's books. So GAD is not run by GPLS. It is a separate, kind of the members run the program. So I am not your GAD expert, but certainly did want to mention as we search for ebooks in Georgia, they are a great place to start. And your library system very likely is a member of GAD. So there are actually, I didn't log in, but one of the things that they do is children's books. They have over 2,000 titles that are specifically in that juvenile fiction category. It includes ebooks and audiobooks. They do also have magazine content in GAD. So. But I did want to talk today a little bit about eRead Kids. So eRead Kids is the children's ebook service that GPLS runs, and it's kind of geared towards that kindergarten through fourth grade reading level, and has a lot of really great titles. We're at just over 20,000 at the moment. I forgot to update my number there. But it does include award-winning bestsellers, new books, classics, and really does run that gamut for Georgia's youngest readers. The whole idea behind eRead Kids is to be able to provide additional content for kids as they start developing that independent reading, as they're getting more confidence and reading things on their own, whether it be a picture book or a chapter book, or kind of even moving into short novels as well. It's exciting to think through how this sort of fits into that ecosystem of uh, Get Georgia Reading, and making sure kids are reading on grade level by the time they reach third grade. We all know how important that milestone is. Oh, I think I did not click too many times. Um, I know that most of you have been to the eRead Kids site. Thank you so much for sharing this resource with your library patrons. We have managed to just luck into having this service up and running in August of 2019, before the pandemic started. And we saw usage start to triple in March of 2020. So thank you for sharing this information out with your library patrons, and making sure they knew how to get to these great resources. We have certainly been able to see how valuable these have been. So it's kind of the main landing page, and patrons go in, select their library from a scroll wheel, and then this is kind of that first shot of what that looks like. It is intentionally, very clean. It's not, there's not a whole lot going on the screen, like on the sides or along the top, because it is intended for children to be able to navigate it themselves. Um, I'll see the variety of titles here. And then once someone clicks on a title, they're, again, very simple language for folks to be able to check out materials. We do have on the page, the additional information, and on a mobile device, you'd have to scroll down to see some of this, of other recommendations, and all those great MARC record parts and pieces, the ISBN number, the subject details, the publisher, that are available to see as well. The titles in eRead Kids have a varying license model. So when we make selections, and there is a statewide selection committee that helps review titles that Baker and Taylor, our ebook vendor, suggests that are within this category. Y'all, it's probably the funniest thing I've done in many months. I had to convince our ebook vendor that Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto was not new and was not a children's book. So it took a couple emails for that message to get across. Um, there are other ways to find it. It's not going to show up in eRead Kids. So uh, some of the majority of the content that we have in eRead Kids is metered access. So it's one book, one checkout. We do not have classroom sets of books. There's not 30 copies of one book. We certainly do add to the number of copies of books we have, especially really popular titles. We haven't quite hit 30 of anything yet. And as kids check out the book, that one copy is set aside for them to read for a 14-day checkout. They can turn it in early, and then someone else can check it out sooner. Most of the access that we have is under a time limit rather than a limited number of checkouts. But there are some titles in eRead Kids that have, a limited number of checkouts as far as the eRead Kids has access to it, has paid for 24 checkouts, or in more likely 2 years worth of access to a particular title. And it's been tricky to try to extend our content into a perpetual access system. It's something that Baker and Taylor, our ebook vendor, is working on. And so we hope to be able to have more access to simultaneous use content in the future, getting us closer to an ebook that 30 people could check out at the same time, or a classroom set in that respect. So I'm going to pause here and see if there are any questions so far. I'm realizing I should have chat open. I don't have chat open.
Wendy, I don't see anything that has come in yet.
Okay.
But yes, this is a good time to remind everyone, if you do have questions or comments, want clarification, please don't hesitate to pop that into the chat, and we will feed that back then to our presenters. Oh, somebody has asked a question. Are we allowed to make requests for content to GPLS?
Yes, you are definitely allowed to make requests for content. You can just send me an email and we can add it to the purchasing list. How we make purchases for eRead Kids is usually in big chunks 3 times a year or so. So we have we'll usually make a purchase towards the beginning of the fiscal year in, say, August, and we'll do another round in kind of that December, January timeframe to try to be able to satisfy holds lists, where people are waiting for really popular books. But also to make sure that we're getting the newest content that has been published and that's come out for children during that time frame. And then we've actually just made our spring purchase and added roughly 9,000 titles to eRead Kids. Just or some of those are duplicates of things that were already there because we had to satisfy those holds lists. But we've just added more content to eRead Kids of things that have been published since January. So, great question. Okay. So, how to get there? I know y'all know this. We've got the links handy here. Um, You can access eRead Kids on a mobile device. You can access eRead Kids in a web browser. So it need not be on a smartphone. It can be on a computer as well. There can also be, there is also an app for Access 360, and you are welcome to use the app as well. And so you can certainly point patrons to download the app. Sometimes that can be easier for kids to navigate on their own, especially if they have their own device. They might not have a smartphone, but they might have a tablet or something along those lines that they're using themselves. So. You do have to have a library card number for access. And so it's the card number and the 4-digit it's normally a 4-digit PIN to be able to log in and use eReadKids. You saw on that screenshot of what it looks like. There are some search options. There is a search box up there at the top, and you can search by subject, by title, by author, keyword. Um, there's an advanced search, and it is possible to search by things like ISBN number. Um, it, I think it is less likely um, in this particular collection with this particular user group that there's going to be a lot of ISBN searches going on. But certainly if a child is looking for a specific title, that is easy peasy to do. And in that respect, just use that search bar up at the top. So there is a help options available, and that's inside the app. It's also on the website. It is a couple layers deep to try to find, but there are ways to get help if you've got a student, a child who's not able to log in for some reason. 9 times out of 10, this is going to be a library card permissions issue. So I think that's always the first best step when someone reports that eReadKids isn't working for them, is just to make sure that their library card is still valid, that it hasn't expired, that it's not blocked for any reason. And, then just to confirm it's a long number, that everything got typed in correctly, and then just try again. Um, it may be helpful if they're having trouble on a, a mobile device to try it on the website, and if that's an option available to them, and see if, just as that double check to make sure, okay, that we know it's working, and that it may just be, especially if they're using the app, there may be something with the app that needs to get updated. It's not necessarily a problem on the library side of things. There may be other issues that are happening with the device. An especially big challenge to try to figure out in these times when it's hard to um, interact with patrons face to face or hold their device in your own hands in any way. So again, thanks everyone for all of your efforts in making this a great success story for Georgia. So getting kids to the content, partnering with schools, partnering with libraries, there are ways to make it easier for kids to get access. If you happen to be in a library system that is offering digital access cards to K-12 students, that could then be another selling point, is you make it easier for kids to get eReadKids on their own. There are also, um, some library systems across the state that are already utilizing the Play card, and this is the Pines Library Access for Youth. Um, I don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but just to say out loud, that is something that requires a memorandum of understanding, an agreement between a school district and the public library for some limited amount of information sharing, so that uh, parents authorize a library card account, and this library card is good for 5 checkouts of physical items, but then unlimited digital access as well. And we have more and more libraries joining this program, and more school districts being excited about this program. Again, the goal here to build access to more literacy resources for K-12 students, and make sure that they've got that full wraparound support, so they have access to great resources at school and at the library, and anywhere that they have an internet connection. So that sort of full wraparound in school and out of school for whatever topic it is that they're excited about. We've got a link here, of course, directly to the eRead Kids page. We do also have a promotional toolkit for libraries. We have at GPLS headquarters table tents and postcards. We're happy to get those in the courier to you if you need more at your particular library to hand out. Maybe it's part of the summer reading kind of promotion that you're doing here in the coming weeks. And the toolkit has logos, buttons for your website, flyers, all kinds of great resources that you may already be using at your public library, but perhaps could also be shared with other partners in the community, whether that's a school district, a boys and girls club, um, anywhere that's got a desire to help with literacy, especially for that kindergarten through about fourth grade, and making sure kids have access to all of those good, robust, high quality resources. So here are some numbers that were put together for us. The whole idea here is, of course, to build literacy. But I know that you've heard about the deficiency in um, how many words a kid hears a day. Depending on the the poverty level of their family, and then that children from um, disadvantaged homes often hear a lot fewer words per day. And one way we can help combat that is with books, and making sure parents know it's great to talk to your baby out loud and read books to your children, no matter what their age. And if we kind of do some rough math here and consider that an average children's book has about 15,000 words, and that if we had one of everything in eRead Kids check out, just at the beginning, way back there in August of 2019, we would have gotten 225 million words read. Um, and to get to a billion words read would have taken about 66,000 checkouts. Y'all, we hit that in May of 2020. So we have well surpassed a billion words read across Georgia through eRead Kids. And again, that is thanks to you and your efforts in making sure parents and children know about this resource. Just stuck my email address on here again, and Elaine's got it in chat. I will pause here and see if there are any other questions about eRead Kids before we turn it over to Russell to
Sure.
talk a little bit about the eBooks in Galileo.
I don't see anything yet, Wendy, but we'll give folks maybe a minute or two to chime in there.
I will stop presenting.
Okay. Carla has asked Access 360 app versus Libby app.
Oh, what a good question. So this kind of gets to the grand design of ebooks.
Okay.
So big picture, 30,000 foot view. Ebooks at this point in time in, not just America, but the world, and simply not just in Georgia, but everywhere, you are stuck with your vendor. So Access 360 is the Baker and Taylor vendor ebook app. Libby is the Overdrive app. So those of you who are in GAD, of course, know the Libby app well. The Access 360 app is for all Baker and Taylor content. They're very siloed. they don't play well with each other. You would have to have both apps on a device to be able to see the eRead Kids content and, separately do a different search in Overdrive to see what they had. There is no one ebook vendor in America that sells everything. And a lot of that has to do with Amazon not selling to the library market. There's lots of ebooks that we just can't get in libraries because they're Amazon exclusives. So we'll leave that tangent over there and won't go down that road any further. But the goal has always been, for me, is to, like, if we try to make it easier for libraries, one idea is to have a platform that has ebooks from different vendors on it. And that is a project that actually I've been working on with Galileo, and Russell has a great team there. It's called Simply E. And Simply E has essentially an app. It's just one app that gets you eRead Kids content, GAD content, the stuff from Overdrive, uh, all of the open ebooks that are out there, the other free content that's available. We have in Georgia 11 public library systems that have Simply E up and running. And we have another 10 libraries that are in some aspect of testing of Simply E. They're trying it out internally, or we've got everything loaded, and they're waiting for the right time to start talking to patrons about it. But we're really excited about Simply E and the possibilities that it provides to make things easier for patrons to find content. They don't have to search in 2 different apps. They could just search one in Simply E. The other thing that I think would really help with it is if Simply E is up and running, the library staff doesn't have to learn a new system. It would be possible to change vendors like everyone on GAD had to do last year, without those pain points. It wouldn't look any different for your patrons if you were getting recorded books or Overdrive or Baker and Taylor or DPLA or any of the other ebook vendors that are out there. So as for like some of the nitty gritty differences between Access 360 and the Libby app, they're both going to have kind of an interface that's run by those vendors. They both make promises to all of us about keeping patron content private. And then but they're both going to look a little bit different. They both have a bit of a learning curve, but y'all, I don't know if you remember the Overdrive of old, 15 years ago, downloading an ebook from Overdrive was, I promise, a 17-step process. It was hard. So Overdrive has come a long way, and the Libby app is, I think, certainly a valid option for patrons who are looking for a way to get that access.
Great. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
That was the only question. And unfortunately, I do need to myself sign off. Wendy, may I ask you to moderate the chat for Russell during his presentation?
I would be happy to.
Fantastic. Well, thank you all again for joining. And one more quick reminder that next Tuesday at 10 a.m., I will be joining stats guru Whitney Payne from GPLS, and we're going to talk about tracking the statistics for summer reading Tales and Tales. So I hope you will be able to join us then. Again, that session will be recorded if that time will not work for your schedule. So have a great weekend, and Russell, take it away.
Thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Wendy. We get to go from the meticulous and detailed Wendy to the frantic and all over the place, too much information Russell now. So just let me go ahead and get my presentation slides open. It's very meta because I'll be sharing you all for half a second until I go back over to my slide presentation. And Wendy, if you could just let me know when you see my slide deck.
I see your slide deck. Yes.
I didn't do what I wanted to do. Sorry, this thing's fighting me today. I'll get there eventually. Okay, there we go. I always like to work photographs of my own child and her reading development in here. I took a picture of her very early on in our life, working at Galileo when we first moved to Athens, of her using Tumble books, and we've moved a long way from there with eRead Kids, which I think is a much better platform and a much more malleable platform. So she certainly is using that, but there's nothing quite like sitting in the car reading, sitting in the trunk of the car reading not the Communist Manifesto, but some Sesame Street titles there. So what I wanted to do is not only show you around the ebooks that are available as part of the Galileo environment, but also point out some features and perhaps even get your feedback on some features that we have added to Galileo for public libraries, and in some cases added back to Galileo to improve the user experience for kids. So let me go ahead and get started. I have a slide deck, but you'll probably just see me do more live demo. What I want to make sure that you all can do after this webinar is just to be able to find our core collections of ebooks in Galileo. I know sometimes that's challenging. Search the ebook collections, locate hidden ebook collections. There's a couple of things that are sort of hidden in other databases or in other places that a lot of people aren't necessarily aware of. And then also to view and use the key features of Galileo ebook platforms. And also just do a quick little take a look at Novelist, just to remind you that is a great tool that's available both for Reader's Advisory and collection development that is available through Galileo. So just to point out our major ebook collections available through Galileo, and this is timely because I'll be talking about things not only that are available for kids, but also that are available to help you in terms of your access to things that can be supplemental to finding out more about programming or library services in terms of professional development collections that are available. So we have our Ebsco ebook packages, and the main packages that we have available that are of interest to kids are the Ebsco eBooks K8 collection. And one of the challenges I know that users and librarians alike have with that is that it does expand quite a range of ages, from all the way from kindergarten all the way up through 8th grade. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes in terms of ways to make that work for you when you're looking for particular types of materials. We do have a high school collection, and we do start to get into more the kinds of content, the nonfiction content that high schoolers may be looking for. I know a lot of libraries serve both elementary, middle, and high school, all three groups after, in sort of after school settings, and you may be in a situation where you're providing research help, and the high school collection is great for that. And then, of course, we have our public library collection, and I'll jokingly say that's where you can find the risque stuff. Just as an aside, there are a lot of romance novels and other things, and a lot of good nonfiction and fiction in the public library collection. There's a community college collection and the academic collection, which have obvious purposes, but certainly we get visited in our public libraries by college students who may be looking to do research in the Galileo environment. So those are our major Ebsco ebook packages. So all these collections are core Galileo. Everyone has access to them. This is a more traditional ebook format. There's no e-audio book available. I get to follow Wendy, who has all these exciting formats and with our boring ebooks at Galileo, but the content is very good. We do have some databases that offer read-along content. Most of the Ebsco article databases do that for articles in certain formats. For those of you, I know some of our public libraries do offer Britannica, and that offers read-along capability. One of the things that, just talking about ebooks, I always try to mention also, in terms of your database list in Galileo, one of the things that you have access to is Funkin Wagnall's encyclopedia. I know not all of you have Britannica since it's an add-on purchase, but you do have the Funkin Wagnall's encyclopedia as Galileo core, and those articles are generally read-along articles, which is nice to be able to use. So again, I like to talk about those sort of hidden content streams that you might not notice or find easily. So how do I get to these? I know, we're working very hard at Galileo to redesign things so that things are more discoverable. And I'm going to give you some previews of that today. I'm actually going to do a little bit demo in the Galileo staging site, which is where we're adding all of the new features as part of our Galileo redesign. And there's some cool stuff that we're working on today that you'll get a little preview of. So I hope that'll be fun for you. So our Galileo search, the main search on the Galileo page, provides you with the ability to find individual ebook titles. Ebooks are certainly surfaced in your results. And when I go in a few minutes, I'll show you how you can also limit to ebooks. If you only want to get ebooks when you do a search, there's certainly a way to do that. And I will be the first to acknowledge that in our discovery system, it's not always easy to find where to add limits to find certain formats, but I'll try to make that clear for you. Certainly on our all databases list, any of those items that I mentioned to you earlier will be there by database name, and we also have our Find Databases search available that will let you be able to search. And if you just search ebooks as a keyword in our database search, that will lead you to all or most of the ebook providers that we make available in all those databases. So just to show you these things, let me go ahead and just go out and do some live demo here. I like to toggle, so that's why I'm showing you my browser. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to the Galileo staging site and point out just a few things here. Where am I? I'm in Athens. So again, this is the Galileo staging site. So I will be sure to point out whenever features are different here versus other places, but everyone has access to the Galileo databases search. So if you're looking for, I just want to see a list of the ebook databases that Galileo provides. If you search ebooks, click here, it provides you with that list quickly and easily. And I'll talk a little bit more about Ebook Central later. But I wanted to mention that too. We have another major ebook provider, Ebook Central, from Proquest, that provides a lot of really good content. Now, it's primarily nonfiction, sort of academic-oriented content. But what I like to point out with Ebook Central is there is a ton of great library professional development material in there. So if you're looking for books or textbooks that can help with things like library programming, I did a program a few years ago on I was asked to do a program on classroom management for librarians in the information literacy context. I was able to find a lot of good material in Ebook Central ebooks to be able to do that well, because that's not an area of strong expertise for me. So always great places to improve your own work are always great. So that's just, again, one quick way that you can find all of the ebook resources in one place. Now, certainly when you go and use the standard Galileo search, it surfaces ebook titles. Let's see, trying to think of one of the things that's fun about the ebook titles that come up with Ebsco is there's lots, if kids are looking for books on things like sports or rules for sports, there's a lot of good nonfiction on those types of things. And you see this is an ebook. This one's actually available from Ebook Central. And so you see there's also that type of thing. We also get those video searchers. Actually, a lot of content from Ebook Central came up with this. But this is an Ebsco ebook on soccer. And I was able to find it and access the PDF, and I can download. Now, Wendy, it was interesting that you mentioned how difficult the process for downloading an ebook in Overdrive used to be versus now. Well, Ebsco ebooks are still in the Stone Age when it concerns this. There is a work being done on that. Right now, you have to download two different apps. You have to download Adobe Editions and an Ebsco app, and it's just not easy. And I find it, given that these ebooks work really well on a tablet or on a mobile device via Galileo, I'll be honest and say I find it hardly worthwhile to download these ebooks. But we do have on the Galileo site detailed instructions on how to do it if you'd like to do it, because I know sometimes you might want to put some things on a tablet locally or other things for use. So we don't want to spend a lot of time on that. I want to be more content focused today, but these are available for download, but it is a cumbersome process. Perfectly honest about that. Now, Ebsco is working to make ebooks available through the Ebsco app, and they continue to work on improvements to that. And once that reaches critical mass, I will do a webinar for Galileo on that so that we can see that better performing app. And that app is available through both Apple and Android app stores now. And it does have some utility that you may want to use just in terms of searching Galileo content through Ebsco. One of the things I will point out is I say most any of the ebooks you're going to encounter, 99.9%, are going to be accessible by anyone, anytime. There are no limits on the number of users, either with access or checking these ebooks out if your users so choose to do that. So that's the limitation is there's not a lot of good utility to download these, but the advantage is they're not DRM free, so they're available here for download and use anytime. So a user can access these ebook any old time. Just to show you quickly, you can look at them in a couple of different ways. Some of them have EPUB format, but all of them will have the PDF full text. And just to demo what this looks like when you look at one of the Ebsco ebook titles, there is a detailed means to go back and forth from page to page or chapter to chapter, which I really like. To download content, like an individual chapter, again, I mentioned that this is a pretty meticulous and detailed process, but you will have to create a login with Ebsco in order to begin that process. That's another thing that you have to do that is kind of a pain with managing these ebooks. But you can do things like folder the ebook or save it. If you wanted to, for example, if you were creating a reading list that you wanted to share with your patrons, you can create a permalink just by clicking on this. And I will point out, always want to capture this permalink if you want to share an ebook title as part of a list versus capturing the URL at the top of the screen, because this permalink will take them directly to it, but also add the authentication to it. So if they're on site and click on this ebook, they'll just go right in. But if they're off site, it'll prompt them for the Galileo password so they can get in from outside the library. So that's just another feature there. And you can see the text. One of the things I do really like about it is that you can search within the text. This is great for our high schoolers who may be looking for a particular chapter or particular rule about soccer. And again, when you create that Ebsco account, there's also the option to add notes to a title. So if someone was doing research, there is that option as well. So just again, a basic and very quick look at the Ebsco ebooks and just using the Discover search to search here. Now, if I wanted to limit to ebooks, I can do that by limiting by type here on the left-hand side of the screen after I get search results. You see it lets me limit in a variety of different ways, including ebooks. So I can refine that very general search for soccer so that I'm just searching for ebooks here and just click on update. And now I only am getting access to ebook titles. So it's a way to quickly limit my search down. Now, there's obviously other facets, including a date facet that you can apply here that will help you to narrow down. And certainly you can do a more meticulous keyword search than just soccer, as I've done. So that is, again, a quick look at the search environment. Again, just to recap, we used the, sorry, log myself out here. We used the database search to search for ebook platforms. And that's just, again, that kind of is our below the fold here. There's also the all databases list. So if you're browsing for ebook titles and you want to do that, sorry, bear with me, I'm fighting with our views a little bit. You can always use the A to Z list that's provided there. Quickly, while I'm sort of introducing the Galileo environment and spending a bit of time here, I do want to go back over to the Galileo staging environment just so you can see some of the things that we're working on, both in terms of discoverability of ebooks and also just generally making services for kids better. And I'll start just by showing you the Galileo Views. Some of it, I'm sure you've noticed this, and I welcome any feedback. We've worked closely with our Galileo Development Advisory Committee to create these unique views for kids. These are also available in the K-12 versions of Galileo. So we can now have a unique elementary school view. And I'll show you in a minute. You can provide links directly to these views as well, and I'll show you how to get that information. But you see that we feature things like eRead Kids here on our elementary page. I mentioned that Funk and Wagnall's new encyclopedia. Kids often search for Ebsco images or search for images, so we wanted to give them an image search. And we provided the primary search database, which is an elementary-oriented research database. So we have certainly also limited the Discover search to kid-friendly content on these views. So the elementary view, the search here, the main Galileo search is designed to help discover kid content more quickly and easily. So that's how we've done it. So they're not searching through a big list of all the stuff when they're trying to find something that is the right reading level for them. So that's just a quick look at the views. We're actually changing up. The view switch is not as pretty right now. This is not in Galileo currently. We currently have a button over on the right-hand side of the screen, but this is coming soon as part of our redesign. We'll be adding this prettier header and view switching functionality here. Another thing that we're working on, and this is a big preview for you in terms of improving the discoverability of all Galileo content, I'm going to turn on our beta search. We're working to create a bento search. Again, this isn't available yet, but it will be in July. I'm going to go ahead and just search my topic again in our new beta search format. And when I click on the search, what this does is it sorts our search results into boxes. And I will say that we won't always get content in a box, and this is still under construction, so it isn't perfect. But notice that it put my ebooks all nice and neat in a box for me so that I can browse them. And if I want to see more results, I click on that Show More Results button, and it gives me the ability to browse through all of the results that came up in ebooks for that topic. We're very excited to be working on this, and we look forward to releasing it because we think it's going to make it a lot easier for everyone to find Galileo content. So that's my quick preview of that. I'm going to go back to my slide presentation just after showing you around those things a little bit. But I'll take a brief pause and ask Wendy, are there any questions so far?
No questions so far. And of course, y'all keep typing them in the chat as you have them.
Yep.
But lots of praise for the bento boxes.
Isn't that pretty?
Very
I love
pretty.
it. Credit to our developers who have been working very hard to make that super. I'm so looking forward to the release in July. So just to recap, again, I have the slide deck. I put it into the chat for you, but the all databases list and the database search, I just wanted to highlight those for you. And just pointing out some features here in the Ebsco ebook environment. You can view them things online in the PDF format, and also add things to Google or Google Classroom. And I mentioned the permalink before. If you want to create a reading list, be sure to use that permalink for individual titles. And then there's the search within function, the content table of content function, and the notes function. As I mentioned, there's also Proquest Ebook Central, and again, it's more academic, certainly for high school AP, and also for reference content. I think this is a very valuable collection for our public libraries to use. As I mentioned, I'd done a course on classroom management and used some content from these ebooks for that. And you see that I had this title, 1 Minute Discipline Classroom Management Strategies That Work. And these are also, they're readable online. They're also downloadable through a Proquest application. And these are, again, great titles for library professional development. I actually met yesterday with that group who's working on the library, Wendy, and we were talking about how valuable these titles are. And there is a really good amount of library science and library programming and other types of content that could be helpful to you in that environment. Just to mention a couple of hidden ebook collections here. There's the Georgia history ebooks, and I think those are great for kids who are working on history projects, especially Georgia-specific history projects. And you also have these sort of hidden ebooks. I was looking through databases just to find every single ebook I could possibly find, and everyone has access to a database called MAS Ultra, and it has over 900 ebooks. And it has some neat things in it, like a Making of a Nation series. And there's also some descriptive ebooks on playing certain musical instruments. And there's a lot of content there. To generate the ebook content in MAS Ultra, all you need to do is do a blank search and then choose the limiter to ebooks on the advanced search page, and it will take you to those 900 ebooks. Galileo, we're always complicated. You have to trick things to get it. But the Georgia history ebooks, that just appears in your database list, or if you search ebooks, you'll see it there. You can read online or on the desktop. Again, these ebooks, both the Proquest and the Ebsco content, works great in mobile browsers. And as I mentioned, there is download and checkout information available on the Galileo site. I've included the help articles that we have on that. And again, we're hoping for better performance, especially from the Ebsco ebooks coming soon with the Ebsco app. I think just to mention Novelist, again, I know a lot of you use it already, I'm sure. And I always like to make it clear, it's not a source of ebooks, but it is a helpful search, evaluation, and collection development tool. There's the utility there to find read-alikes, to search by Lexile or grade level or accelerated reader level. Again, I know you work with kids that need to find that type, and parents that need to find that content. And you can also check the Lexile level for books that are found in other resources if you search for them in Novelist. I just want to do one more quick demo, and the time we have left. I want to make sure that I show you also, as I mentioned, this is, again, back to the normal Galileo portal. I wanted to point out some things that we've added. For those of you who work or manage your own children's pages or YA pages, we have made it easier with our shareable links area. Just want to point this out, that if you need to get a link directly to the elementary, middle, or high school view for your website, we have what are called shareable links here. You can go in and grab this link and it'll take you directly to that elementary page for your library's Galileo account, which I'm glad we did that. And we also have shareable links to your database A to Z lists on a per view basis as well. So if you wanted to provide a list for all the A to Z content for the elementary school view, you could capture the shareable link there. And I always like to point out just one more thing in the databases area. I'm going to click on the All Databases button. I know a lot of you do this. I see I've browsed a lot of your library websites this year. We're working on other projects. But I want to make sure that everybody's aware of the Express link. If you wanted to put a link directly to one of these ebook databases on your library website so that patrons don't have to dig through Galileo to get to it, we have what are called Galileo Express links. So if you click on the Express link button for ebook K8 collection, and then you click on that, and then you just click on copy. Now I've got a direct link that I can put on a website, and I'll just show you that it's going to take me directly to that Ebsco K8 collection database, slowly but surely. I'm upstairs in my house today. So there we go. And you see, when you first land on this ebook K8 collection, we've done a nice job. I credit to Mike White on my team for making this pretty by manipulating the database display here. So that is what I had to share. I'm going to go ahead, Wendy, and stop sharing and welcome any questions that you all have. Oh, I see Carla's question. Okay, cool. Yeah, I love our Express links. Carla asks, is it correct to say that you do not need a library card to look at or download an ebook on Galileo? That is correct. As long as you're logged in with your Galileo password currently, you do not need a library card to access any of the ebooks that we offer. With what I will just put a notable exception on this. Wendy covered eRead Kids really well. We do provide a link to eRead Kids in Galileo just so that it's there if somebody's looking for it. But obviously they would need their library card and PIN to access that. But just that's the only exception that I could think of. But you already know that about eRead Kids. So
Right. And I will say that, using a library card number is one of the ways, but not the only way to log into Galileo. There is also that password option at this point. So.
Yeah. And we're working to make that a lot more seamless. And we're working with Live Oak Public Library right now to do our first Open Athens implementation with a public library. And we're looking to make your authentication and access a lot easier across the board.
And it's just so exciting. Galileo is doing so many things right now. And Russell, I really appreciate that you've taken the time to highlight some of the ebook offerings that are in Galileo and some of those hidden gems. So,
well, you are most welcome. You are all most welcome. And again, my contact information is in the chat. You're welcome to reach out to me anytime with questions that come up after the fact. And again, thank you, Wendy, for having me.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you all so much for being here. As Elaine mentioned, the recording will get posted likely next week. If there are any other questions that come up in the meantime, please feel free to reach out. You've got my email address and Russell's email address in the chat. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of the day.
Well, thank you.
Bye.